After making the video, Straight No Chaser, Many Black People Will Die in 2013, I realized that I needed to add an addendum. So instead of remaking the video, I'm simply going to speak what I had typed in the description box for Straight No Chaser, Many Black People Will Die in 2013, because I do not believe that many will read what I had stated. And if you wish to address this section of the video, feel free to address it in this comment section so that we can keep the comment sections, the subject matter of the comment section straight. That would be wonderful, and thank you for that. People will see what they are taught to see, what they are expected to see. You say civil rights is a social issue. I say civil rights is more than this. It is mainly an economic one. Also, when you look at the act of racism outside of the individual context, its meaning changes. And I have always stated this. If you go back and look at my videos, you will see that I have stated that the word racism needs to be adjusted, for it is outdated and it has been tampered with for the purposes of manipulating the way in which we deal with each other and way in which we see each other. So you may disagree, and I am okay with you disagreeing with my perspective and with my understanding. Your disagreement doesn't mean that I am wrong, but I am more than willing to listen to what you have to say, so let's continue. When we look at the word racism, you have to understand it in two different ways. There are two arguments in regards to this particular word. One wants to stay mainly on an individual path, even though they do not acknowledge it as such. The others want to stay on a group path, and they want to ignore the individual roads. So let's adjust our internal framework and think of this. When we think about racism, we must be astute. We must be willing to think of things in its context and the realities that surround us. Yes, I do acknowledge that the definitions of words have significance, but if we take a word and do not question it, then what we are doing is we are allowing ourselves to be fixated within particular paradigms which may not be healthy for us. However, I do acknowledge that we cannot submit to chaos and that we have to be willing to understand that A equals A and A does not equal B. So if you think that I have abandoned my rationality or that I am turning on a dime here, you are sadly mistaken. Racism is one thing on an individual level and one thing on a group level. On an individual level, we should really consider racism to be racial bigotry. Discrimination, bias, and prejudice are contributors, with the main motivator being fear and or hatred. If we look at the etymology of the word racism and its historical context and its application, then it is very different. Racism is all about the misuse of people within a competitive relationship. This is what it really is when we are looking at it from a group standpoint. This is for the sake of upsetting the distribution of power, resources, and wealth. It really is a simple concept. So when a black person says they cannot be racist, he or she is correct. Because real power, true distribution of wealth within a group, not among certain individuals, is non-existent. Really, it is. If we are talking about reality of the word racism outside of the suffix ISM, the suffix ISM is what really creates a great amount of controversy, as well as the application of the word in order to further people's agendas. Yes, I do understand that this word seems to have a new definition every week, and that it really becomes tedious because it undermines the strength of the word and it prevents us from really capturing the idea of reality. It allows us actually to be trapped in a state of illusion. But this is not my intent. So please do not assume such. We are speaking of a race between groups. The ISM, which was tagged on to the word race and has been accepted as this major battle of ideas for years, is referring to something which is illuminating. ISM is a distinctive doctrine, system, or theory. So on an individual level, it takes the shape of a belief system, which brings ill treatment and includes a superiority perspective. This superiority perspective is not a state of simply being better than others. It is a quality of being at a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage. This is only on an individual level. Though this is only on the individual level, we can see a core which carries over to the group perspective. We can see a bridge that allows one to exist because the other pre-exists. Get it? This is part of the reason why many blacks within 2013 will die or become silent. There are many different ways to die in this world. Death is not merely a physical phenomenon. I have stated for years that racism is in two parts. The one, generated accepted part, which is academically promoted, which contains the concept of superiority and addresses it on an individual level. And two, the other part, which is far more devastating. It is the group perspective. I hope now you understand how I see the term racism and the reason or the significance of placing this addendum for you to consider as you look at and consider the words within Straight No Chaser, Many Black People Will Die in 2013. Thank you for your time. I am going back on break. This does not mean that I will not have a conversation with you in regards to my video content, but I am taking a break from making videos because I am tired and I want to be recharged and I want to have fun and I want to not just drudge along and put out inferior quality product. Okay, enough said. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be well, people.